What's up, guys? This is Daniel's son. I'm gonna do a UFC prediction on Anderson the Spider Silva against Vitor the Phenom Belfort. Um, so we'll start off with Anderson. Performance-wise, he is undefeated in the UFC. He's been kicking the shit out of everybody, but his last few fights, he hasn't looked that great to me. I think he's kind of on the downhill a little bit. Um, I think he got exposed by Chael Sonnen, a wrestler taking him down, beating the shit out of him. And unfortunately, Chael has a thing where he gets caught in submissions near the end of fights, or by any jiu-jitsu guy for that matter. So that's one weakness he has, and I think Anderson, I give him props. He submitted him in the very end of the fight, and he's lucky he did, because he would have lost that fight. One thing that I noticed about Anderson is if you don't respect him, you come after him, he doesn't have time to judge his distance and his timing. So you could see it against Chael. He didn't know what to do. He kind of just threw these weird strikes and was missing and chilled. That guy's crazy. He has balls, man. He just came after him and, outstriked him and out-wrestled him. So, I know he was caught doping up or whatever, which is, that's a disadvantage for Silva. But, when you're a pound-for-pound fighter, I really don't think, steroids or anything matters. Just look at GSP, for instance. He can neutralize anybody. He's fought strikers, he's fought wrestlers, guys who are more powerful than him, and he neutralizes people. I don't really see Anderson neutralize people. He destroys fighters, and he has highlight reels, but highlight reels doesn't mean everything. I see flaws in his game. He has amazing Muay Thai and amazing Jiu-Jitsu, but his wrestling isn't that great, and that's one weakness he has. Another one is I don't think he's faced an elite striker like Vitor Belfort. If you look at Henderson, every time I talk to people, they bring up Henderson's name, but Henderson is a wrestler. When did he ever become a striker? You can't call a guy with knockout power and who is wild swinging, not very skilled standing up. You can't call him an elite striker. He's a brawler and he has knockout power. So I'll leave it at that. Chris Lieben, that guy is another one who's not very skilled, but he's powerful. He looks for that hard left hand. And if a guy like Silva, he's an elite striker. He can pinpoint. He has pinpoint accuracy, and guys like that can destroy B level, C plus level strikers. So Silva has a lot on his plate with Vitor Belfort. So I think that's one thing where Silva is a little bit, hyped up a little too much, because he's been very impressive, but he's been fighting guys that don't have the best pedigree as far as the striking goes. So two ways to beat Silva is an elite striker can beat Silva, and a really good wrestler, you can out-wrestle Silva. As far as Vitor Belfort, he's been known to not always be there mentally, and he's had a lot of shit happen to him in his life with his sister and everything. So I think he's mentally prepared for this fight. He's had a long layoff, but he's been fighting. He was a champion when he was 19. He's been fighting for a long time. I don't think ring rust will really play a factor with Vitor. I think he's hungry. He's coming in with no injuries. He trained really hard, and he's on a roll. He's mentally there, and I think Anderson's time is up. I think Vitor has what it takes to beat Anderson, and I'll tell you how. For Vitor to beat Anderson, he can't respect Silva. You know, he can't stand there and let Silva figure out his range and his timing and everything, because then Silva will pick him apart, you know, on the outside. Vitor has to come in, put pressure right off the bat, you know, wait for, maybe throw some feints, wait for Silva to commit to a right hand or something, slip that shot. He's got to slip whatever Anderson's going to throw right away to get in and throw a quick combination, a quick flurry. And Vitor has the power to knock anybody out, especially at 185, and he is freaking fast, man. Like Anderson, he's fast too, but Vitor is faster. And Vitor is fast with hooks, uppercuts. Anderson's a long-range striker. So if he gets in close with Anderson, I think it's going to be lights out for Anderson Silva. And, you know, Vitor's going to shock the world. Even if he clips him, you know. Clips him, stuns him. Vitor is a guy who finishes people off right away. And so that's how I think Vitor can win. Another way Vitor could possibly win is out-wrestling Anderson Silva. So that's another way I think Vitor has a pretty good chance of beating Silva, is out-wrestling him, you know, ground and pound. They're both jiu-jitsu black belts, so, you know, to me that's kind of neutralized. So I think Vitor has two ways that he could beat him, but his best chance, I think, is to take him out early before Anderson can figure out the distance and timing. So yeah, for Anderson to win the fight, he's got to do the opposite. You know, he's got to keep him at bay, keep him at his distance. You know, time him, move around, make sure Vitor doesn't come in, you know, with those quick combinations or takedowns. So Anderson's got to move, long strikes, make sure he doesn't get taken down. And I think if he can pass the first 2 rounds, I think the fight will favor Anderson more. And Anderson could possibly knock out Vitor or win by decision. So it's going to be a good fight, you know, like it's going to be fireworks. I think Vitor Belfort will win the first round by knockout. Yeah, we'll see what happens.